And good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome. This is LoreForged, the podcast for Ashes of Creation. And we are your hosts. My name's Jibs. It's episode 79. Kash is off for the night, so Sunny's here.
Hi. I have all of my hair just here. I actually, when I found out that Kash wasn't here, I grew some extra hair just for him.
You know, I appreciate
So I'm saving it in a bag over here. And I went to the hardware store and I got some Gorilla Glue, and I'm gonna mail him a bag of hair and some glue. And you know, that's what friends are for. I really think. You know, that sort of summarizes our whole relationship.
You ever thought about what you'd look like?
Hair and glue.
You ever thought about what you would look like if your hair like grew down to your shoulders?
Like if my hair grew down to my shoulders?
Yeah. What do you think about us doing that?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what I'd look like. I'd look like me in high school. I'd look like me for a brief period of time in college. I'd look like me for a while in law school. Like I didn't just have like, okay, first of all, like never like shoulders, right? Like, but down to like here.
No way.
Just ringlets.
Wow.
Big curls. Oh yeah, there's some pictures out there that are just spectacular. The one though that's really good is when I was a junior in college and everyone goes home. Like as soon as they're done with their test, they're like, F it, we're out of here, right?
Yeah.
And the campus steadily gets like less and less populated, except for the people that either can't go home until like the week is done because they got to catch a ride with somebody or for whatever reason. So I was just bored out of my mind. And I had like $40 in my pocket. And so I went out and I got frosted tips. Like
you got the tips.
I absolutely got the tips. Frosted tips. It was 1999. Maybe it was the spring of 2000.
Then.
Spring of 2000. Yeah, right.
Oh,
like just all the tips.
Oh,
and so you can ask Kel about it. It was really a glorious time for me as a human being.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I was the same way. I did the same thing. I got in trouble for school though. I did the whole. Did you ever did you ever do the whole designs in the side of your head thing?
Oh, like shaving the design?
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, I never did that one.
You never did that one? I did the lightning streak.
Ooh,
so, yeah, like
lightning
McQueen
bolt
style. Yeah. Just
ka-chow. That's hot. That's hot.
It was hot. Let me tell you. I was the epitome of hot. 3 T's.
Yep.
That's what that was.
I felt the same way with my frosted tips.
Turns out we regret it.
Either one of us was right.
Well, my hair left me, so I mean, you know, I clearly wasn't that right.
And I love it. Epi's like petition for Sunday to get long hair. See, the problem is that those were glory days of hair.
Glory days.
It just doesn't look the same now.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. And it's like mostly like a salt and pepper sort of long curly hair, and it's No, it's sad.
I get more sad legitimately by the week. I look in the mirror and I just see more and more grays coming out of this beard. More and more of it. And then if I forget to shave my head for a day, like the grays will start to show up and they'll be reflecting. I'm like, what is this new? Why is there a glare? Not so much like here, but right here. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome. I think I've told this story before, but like the when I was working at the ME office and I'd go into the morgue, I would have these like a big rolling giant metal table with like a body on it, and there were security cameras because it's a morgue, right? And there was a TV that had 4 of the security cameras on there, and they were like from high angles, and I was looking at this TV. And I'm like, that is a wild glare on the back of my head. Like, why is that so, like, why does that catch the light so much? And I'm like moving around. I'm like, oh no. It was then that I discovered what was happening.
That's the worst way to find out. Through a screen.
Terrible.
You know?
Through a screen, right?
That's the worst. Yeah.
It's like, ignore the dead guy next to me. I'm like, what's going on here?
Forget that guy. Oh, man. He
doesn't have a problem. His problem's already
fine.
happened.
He's relaxed. It's peaceful. All right. Well, anyway, thank you everyone for push and play, hanging out with us here today on the show. Today, KOTTOR is coming back, and we're also doing the latest dev discussion, 73 on boss environments. And then we're doing a roundtable discussion for something that we have talked about internally for a while, and actually it came up in conversation, and Kash unfortunately was couldn't be here at last minute, and it was his idea that we should do this on the show, so I feel bad. But it is a roundtable discussion on the concern for Ashes of Creation becoming too focused of a PvP MMO. So we'll be talking about that here in a little bit. Interested to see what chat has to say for that as well. But anyway, Sunny Ravencourt.
Yeah, I feel like there's more than a couple of these topics, JB, are kind of hot buttons.
Yeah, the last time we talked about this, Sunny, real quick, last time we talked about this, I immediately saw the comments. You should never read the comments on YouTube, right? You shouldn't. But we do, because we try to interact with people as much as we can, which, but the first thing I read was, oh, here comes the Care Bears. I'm like, well, there we go. We're 20 seconds in.
Care Bears.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
If you're not a Care Bear, you're like
a white knight.
A toxic, a-hole, right? So like there's no middle ground.
No.
You have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
You cannot exist in the middle.
No.
Like nobody wants to listen also to a podcast where nobody has opinions either, right?
It's true. Like,
yeah.
You
gotta have an opinion on stuff like this. So
that's why you get on the mic.
Have a take.
That's right.
All right. So this is KOTTOR. Check out this thing on Reddit. And we were looking at stuff to talk about, and so I popped up Reddit to see if we wouldn't do a KOTTOR, and this thing hit me like square in the face because it has been a conversation on a lot of different places, in the guild, outside the guild, on the server Discord, in Reddit, in the forums. And what it is all about is downgrading crafting stations.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All
so
right.
this is from, well, I'm not even going to raid that name. Let's just say it's from Reddit. Okay. Changed my mind on that one real fast, midstream. But this person says the fact that big guilds can have their members level alts and take over a node so they can downgrade a certain crafting station like weaponsmithing so nobody else can make higher level gear is one of the most toxic things in the game, and something needs to be done to prevent this. And then later down on, there was actually a comment that said, number one, alts should not be allowed to vote for mayorship. 2, demolition of buildings should require a vote.
Oh.
So,
okay.
I'm going to go to you on this, and I'm going to pose a couple very specific questions.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And just to kind of dial you in here, and we can talk about a bunch of different things, but I'll start you off with this very specific question.
Mm-hmm.
Once something like this has been built, do you think it should be able to be downgraded at all? Well, I'll just start there. Do you think it should be able to be downgraded at all?
I will say yes, and I will say here's why. And I'm speaking to the like general like launch era of the game, because the landscape may have changed in that region where something is no longer available because a city got a new mayor, maybe it got wiped out, and maybe they're trying to supplement not having that table anymore, maybe at another city. And so maybe they do need to downgrade something to maybe make room for something else. I don't know. So in that regard, I would say, and honestly, in that regard alone, probably, I would say yes, that it's okay if they're downgraded in that regard.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think that the game is so restrictive on what can be built. Like, it's so space is such a commodity. It's such a prized thing.
Yeah.
That you have to make these incredibly difficult and calculated decisions. And so if somebody else comes in there, they're just going to wipe it out. Now, whether they're wiping it out for good reasons or, in this case, sort of nefarious reasons to deny other people the ability to get tools is kind of interesting. I guess, let me ask you this question then.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with you. I think you should be able to downgrade something. You just have to. We don't have, like, if you had the ability to build whatever buildings you wanted, then, and it just was a cost thing, then I would say, no, you shouldn't be able to do that. But The fact is that you just can't. Space is too important. But let me ask you this. Is it wrong if you are a guild, let's say you are a guild that, okay, I gotta back up. I gotta ask a different question first.
Okay.
Do you think that alts should be able to vote for mayor?
They shouldn't be, and I will also further clarify, they're not going to be allowed to be able to. This is per Stephen Sharif. He says, quote, point of clarity, eventually the design is for one citizenship per realm per account, so alts cannot have multiple votes, etc.
Yeah, and it looks like the chat is pretty much in favor of that. Like, I don't know anybody that really wants. Is there anybody in the chat at all that wants alts to be able to vote for mayor? Or are we pretty much like Foyt says here, one vote, one account?
That'd be a slippery slope, right? I mean,
I think it would be very difficult. Now, like, you do have to get to level 10, but getting to level 10 can be done in a weekend, you know, or if you're like super sweaty, probably like a day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think anybody thinks that alts should be able to vote. But let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not talking about alts voting, is there anything wrong with mains going over? Let's say you had a big guild and you split the guild. You had JB knows that the Black Talon Trading Company can easily take New Ayla. We've got so many people, or maybe it's a different voting mechanism, right? Like right now we're just dealing with democratic, but it could be a money thing in the future. It could be a military thing in the future. And let's say you've easily got whatever it is, the money to win the vote in New Ayla. Could you not send all of the rest of your guild to a diplomatic node and win that, and then just tear it down so that nobody had the ability to get some of these tools? Would that be fair?
Is it fair? Probably not, right? Can it happen? Yeah. The way the game is set up, that can definitely happen. You know, people going to other places. They're you know, it's funny you said something earlier that stuck out to me, where you said the game is very restrictive on stuff like this. What's interesting about AshesOfCreation, there's things that it's incredibly restrictive on, you know, like these systems, you know, like, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, but just, you know, like the way they have things set up. And then there's things that are like wide open that when, you know, like just lead to other things. And they're not necessarily always the most healthiest of things, but you can do that thing, you know, like what you're talking about. So like, is it fair? No. I mean, it's not ideal, right? Like, I don't know anybody's like, oh yeah, I want that to happen over here. Like, I don't know anyone who wants that.
You know, it didn't even occur to me until it came out of my mouth that, like, you only need one person in an economic node to win the mayorship.
Yeah.
You need one citizen.
Yeah.
You could just give that person all the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that person now wins that node, and you can take all the other people and go win something else. You know, like we don't even know what the divine one looks like. We really don't know what the military one looks like, although that one seems like it's a little more team based.
Yeah.
But the democratic one, you know, is the simplest of all of them. And so,
right.
Holy cow, like you could very easily control two nodes with very little effort if one of them was economic and you had the money.
Yeah.
That just takes one person being the citizen. So I don't know. Now, Samarb does like bring up some points, and some of the people in the chat do say, like, you know, we're not real sure what these things look like. Like the economic node, we're not real sure that it's just gold. It could be glint, which is not tradable. It could be a variety of other things. I mean, and that is something that they could easily change as the game comes out.
So I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over you, but on that point though, on glint, that could be an interesting thing. Imagine that. The end
like paying with glint.
Yeah, that in-game currency instead of gold.
Because you can't trade it.
You can't trade it, but you can use it for that would, and you know the only way you get that, like that would be interesting.
Man, that grind.
Right?
That hurts my head.
Have a neck beard the
Holy
size
cow.
of Kansas by the time you got.
You'd be all beard. You'd be mostly beard.
The neck down would just be hair. Like,
Yeah,
you
just the neck down, just
like Cousin It.
out to here, like bell bottoms coming out from your sideburns made of beard. That would be what you would be to win the economic node. Holy God, that's a terrifying thought, JB. I don't even know how to address that. It is a good question. Heartzilla says it's a good question for a Steven interview. It really is a good question for a Steven interview because, like Steven said, the design is not to have alts do these things, but again, we're in testing, and so a lot of stuff that exists, like a guild taking over another area and getting rid of the ability for them to make journeyman pickaxes.
Yeah.
Only really happens because we only have 5 or 7 or 8 nodes that you can deal with, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of this stuff will be fixed in time, but it is kind of an interesting thing. Like you said, some of it's wide open, other stuff is very limited, and then you have this creative interplay. And I think that the people that are toxic are no less intelligent than the people that are not toxic, right?
Yeah.
They are very creative. This is a good example of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It never ceases to amaze me. The links and bounds some gamers will go to exploit.
Yeah, to ruin someone else's day.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Like
I will stay up all night long to ruin this guy's 10 minutes of gameplay.
I have worked for 12 hours, but dang it, I've stayed up for another 5 to make this guy's life miserable. Woo!
It's so true. It's just amazing, right? Like, how hard are you working to make someone else's gameplay less fun?
Yeah. What's that say about you? Like,
I don't know.
Gosh, man.
I don't know. Is there like a gamer hell somewhere that these people go to?
I don't know.
It's like, you lived a great life. You donated a ton to charity. You were the nicest person in the world, but you're also going to have to spend 8 hours a day in gamer hell.
I mean, have you been to Vira? That's pretty close, right?
Gamer hell, right? It's like, and war declaration, kill him. That seems a little unfair.
Yeah. Gosh, that.
I'm like repairing a pair of boots, and a guy just comes over. It's like, and war declaration. Whack.
Yeah. Well, that stuff happens.
I know.
And it shouldn't happen. That should not be a thing. Oh, man, that should not be a thing. Oh gosh. Well,
prison island. Yep. Send him to the prison island.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, that was good. I really like that. That's, man, that is definitely a hot button topic, especially with, I think in this phase, we're seeing a lot of people who are getting burnt, but still like to play, switching to crafting. So like crafting focus. And so I'm almost wondering if that's becoming more and more of a focus around the community as they play Alpha 2, and this being that kind of like that hot button topic. But yeah,
I think that, like we said, we were talking about this just before the show, that like everything is kind of in a bit of a suppression right now.
It is.
And whenever you're doing sort of behind the scenes, whenever you're doing a show that is tied to a game, which is what we have done very many times, right? Like we have done this time and time and time again, and we love doing it. But I think that Ashes is going through a period right now where things are a little bit suppressed. It's not to the point of like panic by any means. But I definitely think you can see this where like the people in the server, there's just fewer people on the server. There's fewer people tuning into podcasts. There's fewer people that are, taking time to log in. And this testing period is very long, and it's going to go through some of this stuff. So it'll be interesting. I still think that they have plenty of people to get done what they want to get done. But it is kind of a bit of a lull right now.
Yeah, and that's okay, because like it's, to me, it's very reminiscent of the marketing world. Like if you're going to subscribe, I always have said, if you're going to subscribe to the highs, you have to be willing to go through the lows. And this is very much a roller coaster ride, right? Like not every week is going to be a top of the hill, getting ready to go down with a huge adrenaline rush, right? So, you know, like it'll come and go, and that's just how it is. And yeah, I definitely think there's a lull right now. But you know what? Like you just roll with it, you know, and you know it'll come back around because it always does, right? Like it always does. And Rogue is right around the corner. People are going to be chomping the bit of that. Oh, that is my you know, and Sonny, this is kind of an off topic, but something I was thinking about the other day, and I was talking with Kash, and I'm like, you know, buddy, I'll be honest, I kind of feel like I'm in this weird holding pattern until my class comes out. You know, like
for summoner or for rogue?
Summoner. Like,
yeah.
I know you could relate to this because you're waiting on rogue, right? It's this weird limbo.
I'm 100% with you.
It's
I
weird,
feel like
right?
I'm like right there.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at things that I want to do, and one of them is animal husbandry, and I'm like, do I really want to go out and spend a whole bunch of gold on taming these things right now when I've got the rogue like right around the corner that I know? It's not like I just want to test the rogue out. Like the rogue is in my top, I don't know, 2-3 classes that I was interested when we found out about this game years ago.
Yeah.
Like rogue was right there. So there is a very, very real chance. It's not a guarantee, but there's a very, very real chance that the rogue becomes my main. And so it's not like just like a fleeting, like, oh, I just want to wait until I can test the rogue. It's like, no, I want to wait because I might like only play this character, and I don't want to blow all of my gold and time and effort doing this stuff when I'm just going to redo it in what is really a short period of time. Now the summoner, I don't know when the summoner's coming out. Like we haven't heard much about the summoner, to be totally honest with you.
Yeah. And I agree wholeheartedly. Honestly, if there was any after playing the Alpha 2 and watching you play the Alpha 2 and knowing you for all these years, in my head you're still Sonny Ravencourt, the smuggler from SWTOR. You are still the rogue. Like to me, that's your class. Like if you were to pick, if Sonny Ravencourt was to put its name, like that's me, that's what I roll all the time. It's a rogue. Like anything else to me,
it probably would be.
Like it just fits you so well. It just fits your gameplay style so well. Truthfully,
it does, and it's because it's like a lone wolf sort of class, right? And
really
like
is.
everything about it just works very well. And some games work better than others for that. I mean, SWTOR was just so good with that for me. It was just a perfect fit. That you know, you talk about like your Rushmores of you personally with classes and games, and that smuggler scoundrel for SWTOR was just a absolute bullseye. It was just perfect. I never wanted to play any other class, not even a Jedi, you know. And sure, you roll a Jedi just so you can get a lightsaber and stuff, and you play it for a while, and you're like, oh, great. And then you go back to the class that makes you feel like you are that, you are there, and it just everything fits perfectly. So yeah, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see what the rogue feels like when it comes out. But man, that summoner for people is the same deal.
That's me.
There's a lot of people waiting for that. Did you play a warlock in WoW? Like what attracts you to the summoner so much?
I really this goes back to elsewhere for Elder Scrolls Online. Like I really just want to play, truthfully, it's just I want to play a necromancer. That's what I want to play. So badly. And it's just I enjoy. It's funny you say SWTOR was your like Mount Rushmore for classes. Like for me, it's the exact same, but it's Juggernaut in that game.
Yep.
It's like being the ultimate baddie, you know, like I love that style of character. And it's either that or truthfully a paladin, but in its current state, I'm not really a fan of the Guardian, or I'm sorry, the tank in AshesOfCreation, which is the paladin is the augment with the tank and cleric, I believe. And so,
yes,
I think that's it. It's definitely not Bard, but so
it's not a fighter, is it? The paladin's not a fighter.
No,
I think you're right. I think it is tank cleric.
Yeah, because that makes most sense. It's basically a knight,
heavy armored cleric.
Yeah. In my heart of hearts, that's what I really, really like doing. But I really don't like the way that tank really feels right now, and maybe that'll change. But yeah, definitely just Necro. That Necro style of gameplay, I enjoy it. Elsewhere in Elder Scrolls Online was like my first time I got to sit down and play an actual Necromancer. And even though it was kind of like odd turret style, the way that they added them in the game, it was still fun. And so, yeah, that's the class I'm waiting for. And it's so odd. It just feels weird. You don't feel like you've landed. You know what I mean? Like you're just going around, you're playing various classes, and you're figuring out what you don't want to play when game launches.
I know, it's a terrible feeling, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah. Gosh.
You feel lost. You're just like, oh, this is fun, but it's not right. You know, like it's just not perfect.
Yeah.
That's MMOs in a nutshell, though, right?
Oh,
You're just always kind of dabbling. And then they make a change to your character that you don't like, you know, even a small one sometimes. You're like, oh, I really loved that ability the way that it was. Now you've changed it. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
You get so attached emotionally, or at least we do, you know, like I think that's one of the differences. So Kash was on Vladis the other day talking about the hunters.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a couple other people on there. There was Flanker on there, and then there was no one.
Is there no one else?
Is there no one?
Yep.
Yeah, and man, their knowledge of like the class and the abilities and the data is just oof. Yeah. it is next level. And I was thinking about this. I'm like, I almost feel bad for Kash because this is not what we do, right? Like we go in and we play the class and we feel, you know, at home with something, and then we do story and we are like the other side of Flanker.
Yeah.
Everything that Flanker is, we are whatever Flanker is not.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dude is incredibly smart and well researched and everything like that about how to min-max this class and what's going on with those abilities. And like, it is just not how we roll. So I guess, you know, for a conversation point, like Vladis did have a couple very interesting people on there with different views. But man, I, you know, like listening to Flanker talk, and then I'm just like, oh boy, you know, I hope they're not expecting that out of Kash, because that's not what he does, right?
No, I feel like we're like entertainment more than anything. You know, like you come to us, it's more for entertainment purposes and story.
Yeah. Nobody's coming to us to like learn how to like min-max a hunter. It's just
They're going to be sorely disappointed.
Oh, yeah. You done screwed up. Your algorithm is broken. You got to the wrong place. But it's really your fault, because you should have seen it coming with a name like LoreForged. All right?
That's true. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. Man, imagine that algorithm. Someone who min-maxes all day and all of a sudden we pop up. That'd be hilarious. Oh, man. Well, before we move on, folks, quick reminder, next week, March 13th, we're doing the very first rendition. We're all super stoked about it. It's LoreForged and Friends. It's all of LoreForged, Kash, Sonny, and myself, and Vladis and Dr. Burns, all of us getting together. It's a brand new series. It's going to be a recurring thing. Same people. And we're each bringing one topic. So it's LoreForged one topic, Burns one, and then Vladis one. And we're just going to sit down and shoot the breeze and just hang out and talk Ashes. So anyway, March.
And those two dudes are perfect for it.
Oh,
perfect for this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
We're just gonna tee it up and let them go off on stuff, and then we're gonna tell them how wrong they are. So it'll be great.
We'll decide if Burns is a doctor or not.
Right.
Burns, I hope you're listening.
Podiatrist at best.
He's a pharmacy tech.
That's right.
Anyway, much love to all of our fine friends of Vladis and Burns. Can't wait till next week. It's gonna be a good time. So. Dev Discussion 73 boss environments. And Sonny, I'm going to go to you on this first. So for those of you who don't know, Dev Discussions are kind of like reverse Q&As, where the devs ask us questions, and so we as a community answer. And so this one's on boss environments, and they say, how can the environment and setting of a boss encounter enhance the challenge and immersion of the battle? Feel free to share examples of bosses and their environments that you feel like from other games.
So this one is tough for me, because this is of the three of us, I think it's fair to say that I am probably the least experienced, despite playing MMOs forever, the least experienced in exactly this part of MMOs, which is the raid boss situation. Like when I first got into Warcraft, I was in law school and I absolutely could not commit to raid night back in the day. I mean, raid night was a huge thing. I like learning what that was a big deal. And then like realizing the level of commitment that people were putting into Warcraft circa like 2005. I mean, it is not an exaggeration to say that it destroyed families. Right? Like it led to divorces. It destroyed families. Like it was wild, the level of intensity that raid night had. There's no better video from the early internet as much as the guy yelling like more dots. Remember that guy?
Yes. Oh my
on the raid night.
Gosh, nice
more
poll.
dots.
More dots.
Minus DKB. It's so good, and that is like that just encapsulates that whole thing. But I do remember, some of the dungeons from my first MMO experiences, and the one that comes to mind right away is Upper Blackrock Spire, UBRS.
Yep.
And it had the big chain, that you'd have to run over and get there. And I was thinking about like, well, what is it about this that makes it good? And like, what have I seen in other games since then that also make those good? And the same thing keeps coming back, and it is scale. Whenever you have these boss situations, and the question is asking about boss environments, it's scale. You want to, just me, but I want to go into these places, and you come into a cavern, and it is just like unfathomably large and so like sometimes like haunting or majestic or whatever, but no matter what it is, just the scale of it should make you feel like you are approaching like the Sphinx or the pyramids or something that is just so insanely big. You're like, how could anyone have ever built this? Right? So I'll send it back to you, but like for me, the one word answer to this thing is scale.
That's really interesting because that style, particularly what you're referencing, when we talk about Warcraft, is scale is definitely, those chains are like the size of like 3 humans, like thick, like.
Yeah, they're like Volkswagens, right? They're like.
Yeah, a bunch of Volkswagens just bolted together. It's pretty much
connected together.
That's pretty much what you get. It's so funny you bring up WoW ruining marriages. Fort's chat says, I did pull the plug on a friend's computer while he was in a raid on a Friday night, trying to get him out to the bars. I've never seen so much rage. Yep, that'll do it.
How'd that work out?
That's when he knew he messed up.
Did he come to the bar?
Yeah, right. So it's funny you say scale. For me, it is. So when you talk about like the setting of a boss encounter, like what enhances the challenge and immersion of the battle, there is a raid specifically, or they're called. Oh my gosh, what are they called in ESO? Trials? I think there's trials, and it's in Elsewhere, and you're fighting dragons. But Sonny, you're fighting dragons on top of a large cliff face, and all around you is the rest of the world that's down below you, and so like you can't fall off. At least I don't think you could, but like you couldn't fall off. However, when you are side strafing giant strafe runs from these dragons that are shooting ice and fire and things that are happening all around you, the sheer element of just knowing that like I'm on a cliff brings your level of immersion and anxiety up to 11, and it's there the entire fight, because in your mind is saying, hey, there's a cliff there, dummy, don't go run off of it, even if you may not be able to run off of it. Like it just feels like I'm gonna die. Like death is here to claim me. My ticket is up. Time to become that necromancer.
There's what was that National Geographic movie with the climber Alex Honnold, who is like the world's best free climber?
Yeah.
He climbs without ropes.
Yeah.
It was like something free. I can't remember what it was called, but like watching that is the same sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not there. I'm on a couch.
Yeah.
I have a drink in my hand.
Yeah.
There is no chance that I fall off this cliff, and yet I'm watching it and I'm just like sweating.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing, right? Like you're playing this game and you're just like, holy God, that sort of space and depth is just yeesh.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That doc was awesome. It's all called Free Solo. That's what it was.
Free Solo.
And I distinctly remember watching it with a whiskey in one hand, and I was same thing on a couch. I looked down and my hand is white knuckling that couch. Like, I'm gonna fall off this couch and die.
Unbelievable documentary, right? Like,
phenomenal.
I don't know if that won an Oscar or what, but like there are very few documentaries that I can remember that clearly, and boy, that was one of them. Just
you see his hands? Do you remember his hands in that? Look like paws, like panther paws, like they're just
I know
muscles.
And he's just like just to like get a casual workout in, he's hanging from like his car.
Yeah, this is
like
amazing.
You know, I gotta kill an hour. Like I should have brought a book.
I'm gonna hang here with one finger. He was so oddly comfortable and at peace too when he was doing that. Was crazy. Anyway,
I did like the part where they went to the doctor and they're like, "So what is wrong with your brain?" They're looking at it and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is what's up." So like, you're missing a whole section that makes other people afraid of things.
Yeah.
Like and like, you got to think that I believed it. I'm like, yeah, there's something different about this cat that is just does not exist in 99.99% of humans, because he is on a different wavelength.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's oddly at peace with it too. He's just like, yeah, whatever. Yep. It's fine. Hanging off. It's fine. No issue. Whatever.
No issue.
Phenomenal. Whatsoever. Phenomenal. Hey, you want to know something? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Yours more.
Okay. I was going to say, like, I did want to talk about the other part of this thing, other than scale. For me, I was thinking like, okay, well, if it's not scale, what else is it? Because what other things do I really remember? And with SWTOR, there was a lot of progression to the bosses. Mm-hmm. And so you felt like you were moving through something. So with Star Wars, it's very commonly working your way through a ship until you get to the bridge. That is a very common sci-fi thing. It's like the end of the road is at the bridge. You got to get to the bridge. And so you're in this ship and you can take different pathways through the ship, or maybe you can't or whatever. And there's going to be other lesser things in there before you get to the bridge. But whatever, like Vader's waiting at the bridge. Vader's not like in hallway 11C. Like he's at the bridge, right?
Oh,
he's
good.
in charge of this thing. So that kind of progression I always found interesting with dungeons as far as the environments go, where you really feel like there is an end goal and you know where it is. I think that the ones that I'm less interested in are the ones where I'm going through a dungeon and I'm just kind of going room to room and I don't really know where it is that I'm going. It just is another place and another place and another place. And then, here's the boss, right? So I really liked that about Star Wars, where I knew I had to go to the bridge and it was going to be a matter of time before I could get there.
Yeah. I like that it's like that innate understanding too, like it's a progression, like that fight. Like I love that. That's a really good point. Yeah, you know, another thing that as far as environment and setting that really I kind of put the bow on this, I guess, would be that really stands out to me is massive, like ungodly massive AoE just red on the ground. I feel like anytime you throw just that
fields of red.
Yes. It's like you had a raid, all right, but then you put all that red and it's like now you have a raid, and now you've got an issue that everyone is forced to deal with. And that anytime you throw that in, even in dungeons, you throw that crap on the ground everywhere, it's just like everyone's dying, everyone's like, like it's a wipe, it's like that's always a big factor in these fights, I feel like. But
danger is an important thing. Like you said, with the red, right? Like,
yeah,
in a raid, you want to feel like if you don't do this right, that you're gonna die. Like,
Yeah.
it has to be that sort of terminal fear.
Yeah.
That you don't just get out in the regular game, right? Like, if you
Right.
screw up bad enough, you could probably die. But in like a dungeon, you have to expect that there's a chance you're going to die if you don't do this right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of like going to lead us into our next topic too, about the concern for Ashes becoming a PvP focused MMO, because there is like those fights and raids where that feeling of, and I'll never forget it, tanking. It was the Dragonflight expansion for Warcraft last year. I was main tanking LFR, looking for raid, which is always a gamble at best anyway, right? You're rolling the dice that you get a team and you actually complete it without everyone freaking out and flipping everyone off and leaving and go their own server.
Leaving.
Yeah. But I'll never forget tanking that boss, and they are there's no bigger adrenaline rush than that boss that's 60 feet taller than you, and you are taking all the damage at that time. If you fail, that's it, you know?
Yeah.
And
you're just going to wipe through all the cloth wearing people after that.
Yeah.
Just one sweep, dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's those experiences that, like, when you finally beat that boss, that I really hope and I don't think they're going to be. They may be, I feel like maybe they said that some things are going to be instance, but it's stuff like that, like when that's not protected, that experience isn't protected, and it's, let's say, like, and from a virus standpoint, especially early on, when you have a bunch of griefers that would come in while you're doing that thing, and that experience is no longer protected for that group. Those memories are no longer be able to be built aside from the conflict that arises from it. It can be a little bit of a frustrating thing, you know? A little bit of a frustrating
I agree
thing.
with that entirely. Like the work that the developers are doing to give you that experience, and then it gets stolen from you by the PvP part of it.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with what you're saying. Like that is not good design, I don't think. Like, to allow that to happen is something that's really questionable to me. And we might as well just get right into the next thing, because there's a lot of points on here that can't be addressed without discussing the roundtable discussion.
Sure. Yeah. And the first one up really is about conflict. And I know that has been, and this all kind of stemmed from just watching things happen. And this whole discussion stemmed really from watching things happen on the A2 server, you know, like over the course of the entirety of A2, phase 2, I'm sorry. And you're just kind of like, you know, it makes you at least discuss it, or at least think about it, because we've seen a lot. Sonny, we've been around too long. We probably shouldn't be really podcasting about video games at this point. Why aren't we in sports like every other normal human our age?
Yeah. I got to do my taxes tomorrow.
Taxes? I mean, like, we're still in gaming. But, like, you know, we've been around long enough to see, we've seen a lot of MMOs come.
Side note, by the way, do you remember Moss Eisley Radio?
Yes.
Do you remember Zach from Moss Eisley Radio?
How's he doing?
So I have no idea. I do remember this, though, that Moss Eisley Radio was an early adopter to podcasting, and they got into COTTOR podcasting before any of us did, and they were a big deal. And he was a big deal in turn because of this. He right place, right time, right? Like, just knocked it out, had a huge following. Yeah. And massive. I remember Zach he did some stuff with me after a while, and he kind of got burnt out for a while, which happens to all of us. Yeah. And he ended up doing a show about the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, I remember that.
the basketball team. He's like, I'm going to just do a show about the Indiana Pacers. I think people are going to listen. And I'm thinking, like, I mean, maybe. And I don't know.
I remember that.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way that made it any longer than 5 episodes. But, like, Indiana Pacers, man. Everyone gets tired of video games for a while, and they're like, I'm gonna do something real, like sports.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like, you know, like maybe a little bit more stable area. You never know. Like, I don't know, but yeah, here we are. So my point is that this the point is that we've seen ups and downs for sure, and we've seen toxicity and the lack thereof. You know, we've seen people going above, beyond, and people in good ways and bad ways. And over the course of the last decade of casting, we've seen a lot of MMOs, particularly niche MMOs, that come out, and they're more PvP focused. And they don't typically stick around. They don't typically last very long, mainly because people get tired of that. And this is coming from a PvPer, okay? Me. And Sonny, I know you PvP as well. You see people fall off because ultimately they get tired of it. They get tired of just, not having, in any kind of real sense, like a protected experience, where it's just like no holds barred all the time. And it just like, it seems like it fades. It's like that value of conflict. Like, what is that? What's the healthy limit there? And I'm going to pass this to you because I know conflict is really a core part of Ashes of Creation, but I feel like they walk on the dagger's edge there with that.
Oh, I think that's a great way of putting it. That they really do. It is a brass ring of sorts to build a game. Can you build a game that involves PvE and PvE perfectly balanced, where PvE, conflict PvP, shapes the world, right?
Yeah.
Where you have this world out there, and then conflict is changing it. What does Steven always say? Like, PvE builds the world, and PvP like
destroys
it or something like that, or destroys it or whatever, right? Like PvP is a major part of the game, and he wants it to have consequence. And God knows the number of times you hear him say the word conflict, right? Like, it's on the bingo card. It's on the Stephen Shreve bingo card. I think that the problem with PvP in its current state is that it becomes like a very loud white noise. It becomes like this constant sound of PvP that is overwhelming every other sound in the game.
Mm-hmm.
At this particular stage, because we are in this boiler room where everyone is smashed into this very small space, PvP really dominates the discussion. It is driving everything. Mm-hmm. You can't run caravans if PvP is dominating that discussion. You can't go out into the world, these war declarations that can happen in an instant with very little repercussions, dominates things. There's no incentive for defending anything, so it's all attack all the time. It's, in my opinion, like pretty out of balance right now. I think that the balance that they're looking for in this game is not happening right now. Mm-hmm. I don't think that you write off the game. I don't think that this can't be fixed. But if you're asking the question as it is Ashes of Creation becoming too PvP oriented? I would say no. Mm-hmm. It's already there. Like, it's not becoming too PvP oriented. That implies that it's not now, and it might be in the future. Like, no, just forget that right now.
Yeah.
We're there. wherever the hellish landscape that there is, that's where we live now. So yeah, like, is it becoming a PvP MMO? I think, I think we're there. It is a PvP MMO. How could you possibly argue at this point that Ashes of Creation in its current state is not a PvP MMO? That's like one of the only things you can effectively do in the whole game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, quests aren't built in. And I'm not saying that they should be, right? Like, quests are one of those things that come later. We're in the testing phase. Right. Quests aren't in. Caravans, they just had a bug the other day that like the money's all jacked up. But further on that point, the markets are all jacked up because they haven't really built the functionality into it yet.
Right.
At least 70% of the professions are placeholders.
Right.
At least, right? Like everything except for like logging, right? And mining.
Yeah.
And even those, aren't in their current state because we don't have a dynamic, gatherable node type of situation. But PvP kind of exists, right? Like if you can like kill another person, then you're going to do it. So yeah, like it's way too PvP focused right now. It's a PvP MMO right now. And that's why you're seeing nonsense like this, where you have guilds that get together and just like obliterate other guilds and dominate servers and make life very, very difficult if they can get together and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Like, I don't know if I was supposed to have that take on this, but like
Sonny with hot take.
that's an honest to God opinion coming from me here.
I think that was, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna have a hard time following that. I think that was said just about darn near perfectly. You said a couple things that really stood out to me. One of those was white noise, like with PvP right now in the game. I see right now in its current state, there's very little value coming out of PvP. What I mean by that is like impactful PvP, you know, things that really are affecting. I mean, yes, if you're in like a war or, you know, guild war, that sort of thing, then yeah, you know, we have node sieges coming up, right? Like that's impactful PvP. A lot of what you're seeing right now, and it's tough not to see this because it's so prevalent and it's such a thing, is the exploitive behavior, but also the I wouldn't say it maybe abusive, but you know, like what's the right word? Like trolling behavior, maybe? I don't know. It's yeah, okay, that's probably right. That's so prevalent that makes this come to the light a little bit more. So you're just having
like
this
toxic behavior, right? Like it's not against the rules.
Correct. Toxic behavior.
But it is it's a bad feeling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's just like the other day, apparently there was on the server, there was going to be a war between the races. So it was going to be elves versus dwarves. And it's an RP event, right? They broadcasted it. They put it out there. And this may have been the issue. Maybe you shouldn't have done this. But they had I think they even had a Discord for it. In short, they got ganked mid RP to the place. And I'm just like, oh, like that's the thing that.
But were you surprised?
No, Sonny, I'm not. You know, like I'm not. Should it happen? No, I don't think it should. I really don't, because there are certain things you have to protect in an MMO. It doesn't matter what you want to, how you want to build the MMO. There's certain things you have to protect to a certain point, because if you don't, players will not stick around. Players will leave. They'll go somewhere else. They'll just say, you know what, we can go do this over there, and they'll leave. Mm-hmm. They won't stay.
This is the Flaris thing that he always talks about, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
we got a guy, just to on a side note here. Flaris is in our community, and he constantly references this series of papers that a professor wrote on game theory. And you have like the RP players, you have the environment players, whatever, and you have the PvP players. And if the PvP players get too powerful, they knock out every other class of player. Everyone else leaves. And then the PvP players only have PvP players left, and they don't want to do it anymore because they only like killing the other people. They don't actually like killing the other PvP players. So that is the potential.
Yeah, it very much is. And it's just, it's interesting in its current state right now and you know, these are the kinds of things that I hope to see further developed and further investigated and really looked into, because I'll be the first to tell you, I love PvP. I genuinely love it. I love it when it's impactful. I love it when it means something, more than just open world ganking, you know, like it's things that matter, and the competitive edge, you know, where you're really just kind of going at it. That's important. I love that sort of thing. And it's got to be, the game has to be able to facilitate more than just conflict for the sake of conflict. Because if you're just having conflict with no real value out of that conflict, it's just conflict for no reason, and people will go elsewhere. And I think that's where my head's at with it right now. I know it's not like a positive take by any means, you know?
The problem is that the question itself just inherently asks for an opinion that's not going to be a positive take, right? Like,
that's fair.
If they're asking the question, is the game too PvP oriented, then they know that there's a real possibility that the answer is yes.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, and especially when it comes to like protecting certain things in the game. And I know that makes it sound like that we're the Care Bears, right? Like that, you know, we can't hang in this environment. Well, the reality is that many people play MMOs, various different kinds of people. If you want to make this a pure PvP MMO, then you don't have to do a lot of the other stuff. You don't have to make quests. You don't have to make dungeons. You don't have to make an economy. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You can make a PvP MMO that's like much simpler, and it'll probably be out next month, honestly. That's not what they're trying to do. They want to make an MMO that have a lot of different kinds of people in it. And if you want those other kinds of people to exist in that game, then yes, you have to do certain things in order to make it so that those people stay in that game. Because if every time they walk out of town to go do something, they get smoked by 5 people waiting for, them to leave the protection, or even worse, that there is no protection in town and they don't have any safe space whatsoever. Like people do not stick around for that. And so the question you have to ask yourself is not like, is Ashes of Creation becoming too PvP oriented? The question is, what do we want Ashes of Creation to be, right? If the answer is a place that like all of these people can play in, then you don't have to ask if it's becoming that way. You can just say it already is there. And so how do we dial this thing back? How do we swing this pendulum back into a more balanced type of situation where these different kinds of players can exist? Maybe not peacefully and maybe not like in harmony, but at least where they can find their own little part of the universe to exist in.
This is not going to be a popular take, but it's the only one I know of that I've seen that has worked. And that is, the world isn't so open. And what I mean by that is that there's protected spaces. That things are not always open world, like as far as from a conflict standpoint. I'm not saying like that, maybe there's another way, but that's the only way we've seen that has worked. I mean, unless there's an MMO that we haven't played that we don't know about, that handles it differently.
Well, there's like ways to sort of like soft cap those things, right? Like you make the guards in town super like aware and really, really tough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. There you go.
And fast. Yeah. So that if you do something in the middle of town, then you ain't getting out alive. Right. It's just, you're just not going to make it. Right. Like, and if a bunch of people do stuff, it doesn't matter. They're not getting out alive.
Yeah.
It's sort of the kind of thing where like, if a guild went into Stormwind and was like killing players in Stormwind and took out all the guards, that was like a monumental event.
That was a big deal. That
took enormous coordination because those guards were no joke and there was plenty of them.
Right.
That's the kind of like soft cap sort of thing that I would suggest for something like this. You can create spaces that are safer than others by in-game means without just putting like a big border around it. You make it a place where like it'd be suicide to do something in those areas.
Right. That's well said too. It's going to be interesting to see how it develops because you brought up a really good point where, like it's not just a PvP MMO. It's more than that. The systems they're working so hard to achieve in this game speaks to more than just that. I think you'd be selling the game short if you just said it was a PvP MMO. You know what I mean? And so
I agree.
It's going to be interesting to see how this develops. Everything you said was, folks, you could basically just rewind like for the first like 10 minutes of this, and that you could stop listening there, and that'd be knocked it out of the park. We're done. We're going to outro. I'm leading in with the iTunes review bit. Like, that's a wrap.
Well, Della Luna has a great point here, right? Like, so I was speaking like high-mindedly of like the theory of it, but Della Luna has the brass tacks here. Is like guild wars need to be outlawed in towns. You can't do a guild war for people in towns, and attacking caravans should make you an outlaw.
Oh, I agree 100%.
And I agree with both of those, right?
Agreed.
There should be no scenario in which you're at the market and get killed and everyone in town just looks around and is like, oh, bummer, that guy must have a war declared on him. Like, that makes zero sense to me. None whatsoever,
agreed.
Right? And then attacking a caravan should absolutely make you an outlaw.
I agree.
Why wouldn't it? Just from a lore standpoint, you are attacking someone else's caravan.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be free.
Would you not become a criminal? You know, like
Absolutely. Absolutely. You should be wanted at that point. You should show up on the map. You know, that's the risk. You want to attack caravans and get a bunch of people's loot? Great. You're an outlaw. That's what outlaws do.
Yeah. Then the bounty hunting comes in. Yeah.
Then the bounty hunting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, agreed. Like it's if this, then that.
Yes.
You know,
absolutely. The Guild Wars in Town thing just needs to be
that needs
to go away.
That's just not. Yeah,
that's garbage, right? Like we all agree on that. It's dumb to see a level 2 just get deleted and then have no repercussions for the person doing that.
You want to know what?
That is bad.
Yeah, agreed. You want to know what? This is kind of behind the scenes too, folks. Like we had people come in and test the game. Super stoked to test the game. We get war decked on during that time. Remember Sunny when they were bugged and you could just keep exploiting war decking after war deck after war deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like they came in and test the game and they just said, okay, we're out. If this is what it's going to be, then we're just, we'll just take a break. We'll come back later. I can't blame them.
No, I'm with you. If I came in and I didn't have a show or anything like that and I showed up and I was like, I'm level 2, I made it to town. And a guy's like, there's a war declaration on your guild of 5 people. Boom. Done. Dead. All your gear gone. Oh, also, you get a penalty to the 5 levels you managed to get.
Oh, buddy. And that's another thing.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that because it goes hand in hand. XP debt needs to be brought back, like significantly.
Oh, it's still too powerful.
Significantly. Yeah. I guess I'm speaking to out of like war right now, where it doesn't matter. But I mean, just like in general, if you're killed, like
yeah.
I will never forget, Sonny. I was 22 and I've been 22 forever. When we did this caravan run with the guild, I went to 90k XP debt. And the other day I was just farming some of that off. I died once. Instantly, all of my work, I lost it. It gave me another negative 30k with one death. One death, Sonny. Negative 30,000 XP. You're lucky if you get 2,000 from a good mob.
Like that from a great mob,
that'd
right?
That'd be a great one with a group.
Yeah, that's obscene, right? Like that is just incredibly punishing. And it is a game where you're gonna go out and take some risks because what's the alternative? You just only kill things like 6 levels below you.
Well said.
Right?
Yep.
Like where's the design in that? Like, is that really what you're incentivizing players to do? But furthermore, like nobody wants to defend anybody if they have to deal with 90,000 XP debt.
No.
Or if they like get revived and then get smoked again at the Ember Spring and end up with more debt, like that is a Control Alt Delete situation. Like you are done with whatever you were doing if that's the case.
Yeah.
Wolf in chat says, so this was actually a good suggestion from Foyt. Foyt said, what if you were purple for a day or two if you attacked a caravan? You're just flagged. Like you're you're in a danger spot. You're not necessarily corrupt, but like you are a known criminal at that point.
It's such an interesting problem.
Wolf wanted to dial it back, but like I think we're on to something, right? Like I think we're on to a situation where like if you attack a caravan, you should be doing that with great hesitation. There should be like something that happens as a result of that makes you be like, I better lay low for a while, as opposed to brazenly doing this.
Yeah, it's an interesting problem because it's in a game with its open world, right, where there's really no incentive yet. So it's just like, okay, again, this is so far from getting out of alpha. Like we're going to be in alpha for a while. We know that, at least until May 2026, right? They said this phase 3 is a year long. So if it starts in May, it's a year long. It's an interesting problem because it raises the question of if this, then that. So if the game is this, if this is what it is, then what are you willing to do to counter that issue? So you brought up the idea of, of being an outlaw. Like that is a hard stance, right? If you attack a caravan, you are, in this world corrupted for, like, can you imagine what that would do? Like that would change some thoughts, change your thought pattern. They always said that in the prison when I worked at the prison, change their thought process real quick. That's what they sounded like.
Yeah. But it's exactly right though. Yeah. Right. Like if you do this and you are now in personal danger.
Right.
That is a thought process changing process. Right? Like that's what happens. And I love that if then sort of situation because it's very simple. It's not that difficult. And then it's just a matter of dialing it in, right? Like the argument between Foyts and Wolf it's just a lever, right? Like, is it too far this way? Is it not far enough that way? And there's a way to do it. But yeah, like you're attacking caravans for Christ's sake. Like you should be a criminal.
Yeah, agreed.
You're a criminal. Stop attacking caravans.
Agreed. Whatever that looks like, in the very least, you are a criminal. 1,000%. Gosh. Well, folks, we want to hear what you think about all of this, and we hope you've enjoyed the show. This was LoreForged, the podcast for Ashes of Creation, episode 79. Next week is a big, big week. We're so excited to have the brand new series starting with LoreForged and Friends, so please come hang out with us March 13th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you enjoyed the show, let us know how we're doing by leaving your review. We certainly do appreciate it. Just take a moment, push pause, just leave a review. It tells us how we're doing, how we can improve, but it also tells other gamers if this is the show for them. You can always email us as well for the mailbag segment. Send us your questions. We'll answer them right here on the show. We do that with the happy hour for our patrons, and we want to do the same for just the listeners out there. So anyway, LoreForgedHQ@gmail.com. Sonny.
You can go to loreforged.com and find the links to all of our different things, including YouTube. I did a YouTube the other day,
buddy. I think you struck gold there.
I did something fun. It was called Sunny Side Up. It was a little one question segment where you ask me anything and then I talk about it. And what the hell was I even talking about?
You were talking about why they like the portal. Remember?
Oh yeah, why'd they come back?
Yeah,
it was a great question. Yeah. It was a great question as to why, like, well, if you have this portal and you have no idea what's on the other side of it, and it could be certain death, like, why do you think they went back into the portal? And so I had a lot of fun with that question. It's just a little segment, it's a little 5-minute thing, but it's fun. It's on youtube.com/@LoreForged. You can also find us on Twitch. There was a bunch of people tonight that came into the Twitch for the first time and got to see us do the show live. We're not always on the same night. We're actually going to be on Thursday for a few nights in a row just because of the way that the schedule's worked out.
Right.
But we always do the show live and then we release it on YouTube on Monday. Also for the patrons at patreon.com/LoreForgedHQ, they get everything early. In addition, they get access to the Happy Hour channel, which is where I pull all the questions for the Sunny Side Up thing. And then we also do the live from Happy Hour shows, which is we take all the questions from Happy Hour. And those are always a lot of fun. JB, what else you got for us?
All right. Well, folks, you can always follow us on X and the great Instagrams at LoreForgedHQ. And don't forget, you're looking to join a guild that, how do we even describe our guild? For the working professional, casual core, I guess that's...
real people.
Real people in a world where people want to relax after work.
Where only criminals rob caravans.
Oh, and retirement isn't far, far away. Anyway, folks, you can come join the guild. Come apply. It's our Discord community is solely for the guild and our patrons. So you can either become a patron and join up, or you can apply to join the guild. So check out the Discord there. For all the people who are new this week, welcome in. I'm not Kash. I don't have your names. I don't know who you are, but I'm glad you're here and welcome in, everyone.
Thanks for joining.
Oh, we're so stoked to have you all here with us. And yeah, so folks, have a great week in gaming, and we'll see you next week right here on LoreForged. Take care, everybody.
Safe travels, adventurers.
Wow, look at you go.
Did I do it? I tried to give it the energy. Usually it's like this, though. Honest to God, this is what it is. First, I got to get in my Kash position. perfect right here. Safe travels, adventurers.
Oh.